my gosh, this is really real. Like, I just did this. I do not look like Beyonce yet. Like I don't even know if there's a difference in my shape.
Having my family scared because the recovery house called them like, hey, she's fainted. We have to rush her to the ER. And then get into the ER.
So I keep asking myself, when are they going to start getting real about recovery? Like, when are they going to start telling us the true stories, the behind the scenes stories about recovery, about the truth, about how hard it really, really is? I'm so glad that you guys get to see the insides of these stories, 3 totally separate stories from 3 totally different women, from 3 totally different scenarios. This is just, we got to get into it.
My name is Brittany Deshay. I am the CEO and founder of the Fit BBL, and I have had a mommy makeover.
My name is Dr. Vinaya Rednam, and I had a mommy makeover.
Hello, my name is Alexis. I am the founder and CEO of Makeover USA, and I have had a mommy makeover. Oh my gosh. Hello and welcome to the Makeover YouTube channel. I'm so excited to have you guys here today on our first episode, and we are going to be talking about mommy makeovers and true stories about mommy makeovers from 3 of my favorite people, including myself. So mommy makeovers are basically when you have a surgery to more than one area, and typically it's the tummy and the boobs, because that's where the babies come from. The tummy, where the babies affect you most, right? So they stretch out your tummy, they suck on your boobs, and they make them kind of sag sometimes. And then if you have more than 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 or 7, this can change your body tremendously. And so when you're looking for the right surgeon and when you're looking for the right procedure for you, it's really important to kind of get an idea of what other people have gone through. I know this from experience of doing the complete opposite and not finding out from anyone. And if it wasn't for my recovery team, then I definitely would have ended up botched. But that's on a different episode. Today, we're going to talk to 2 amazing ladies who have also had surgeries. And get this, one of them is actually board certified surgeon, Dr. Rednam. So I cannot wait to get into this with you. I hope that you enjoy. So what was my life like before kids?
So that's hard to say because I had my first at 15. Like, I don't know if you know.
Okay.
Wow. So life before kids was Barbie dolls and cartoons. You know, I was a regular kid. There was no life before kids. I mean, like I said, other than my childhood, I've been a mom since 15. I had my first at 15, but I had my second at 21. So, you know, I did have that period, but I don't know. There's no life without kids for me. That was like, it was kids.
Before kids, I worked a lot, but my husband and I had time to just take care of ourselves kind of thing. Even when I was in my training, I was a big CrossFitter. And so I was like, my peak shape was when I was in training. I was, I had all the time to work on myself. I was really healthy. And I still do, I love lifting weights. So I was always I was never a stick skinny person. That's just not my frame. But I was always very toned and athletic. And so I was pretty happy with things before I was a kid, before I had my kids, how I looked, at least physically.
Before kids, I lived a very wild lifestyle. I always struggled with my weight. Like, it went up and down since I was 15 years old. I was put on my first diet by my abusive stepfather when I was as young as 5 or 7 years old. So I've always had a very bad relationship with food. I became bulimic when I was 13 years old, and that lasted all the way up to my mid-20s.
What was your body like after kids?
So when I had Damien, my oldest, at 15, my OB-GYN told me then that I needed diastasis recti repair. But he was like, you're young, so this is something you're going to take care of later in life. But at 15 years old, I had it in my mind that I was going to have a surgery to repair those muscles. I didn't associate it with tummy tuck because I was 15. I didn't know what it meant. I just knew that I had a condition, diastasis recti, and this man told me when I was done having my children, his words were, when you're done growing your family, you have to have this taken care of. It's severe. And so, of course, they weren't going to operate at 15, but later in life, it kept coming up with every child when I would go get exams, and they'd feel that opening during exams. It just kept being a reoccurring topic, like, hey, you're going to have to get this taken care of because it's like a severe degree of separation that needs to be repaired?
So for me, I'm only 5 feet tall, so I am not a tall woman, and so I did my best to be really healthy, but I still put on like 50 pounds during pregnancy, and it was from 50 pounds on a 5 foot frame. It was really hard. I felt like I ate myself.
Yeah.
And but I just kept telling myself it's part of it, and I tried to be as active as I could up till then, but I knew I was gonna put this weight on, and my abdomen stretched. I actually did not end up getting a lot of stretch marks that I didn't already have from growing, I guess. But I developed a diastasis, and I knew I would, just because where am I going to make space on my frame? And that happens a lot with petite women. It's just more likelihood of for sure getting a diastasis.
And so after I had my daughter, Isabella, my body changed, but it wasn't much different than all the times that I had gained weight before. I actually weighed less with her than I did when I had gained weight before her, like when I was 19 or something like that. I had gotten up to 258 pounds. And with my daughter, I didn't exceed 230 pounds. So that part really didn't affect me as much. What affected me more was just as I was losing the weight after I had my daughter, I realized that my boobs and that my skin, they were not going to go back into place. But I never had a reference like before surgery, like a lot of people do. They're like, I was so fine before surgery and my body was so tight. And that was not the case for me. I had gone up and down in weight so much that my elasticity was shot.
When did you decide, okay, I'm going to go ahead and have a mommy makeover?
Yes. So afterwards, my sister-in-law, my husband's sister, had went to Cabral in the Dominican Republic, and she came home and baby girl was snatched. And I want some of what she had. How do I get these results? And so she would not give me her doctor's information. So she just kept saying, do your research. But this is who my surgeon is. Showed me his Instagram page. That led me to the surgery community. And from there, I just started researching. A few ladies here in Houston had surgery abroad as well. They had went to and Robles. And so I reached out to both of them, but I just wasn't really feeling their results. But if you have heard of Cabral, then you have heard of Duran, because they call him the king. And then she's also referred to as the queen. 4 years of researching.
Wow.
Some doctors, here in the US, and looked at Plaza, like his name, Plaza in Colombia. I loved his work. But ultimately, since she cared about my health and wanted me to get the weight off, I settled on her, because if you care now, you'll care later. At the time that I requested surgery, I was probably sitting like a 34, 35 BMI.
Okay.
That was way too high for her, what she wanted. She wanted me to come down to I think her highest BMI at the time was 31. It's since changed. Now she's like under 30, like 30,
okay.
But case by case scenario, basis. Things have just changed as surgery is becoming,
more popular,
more affordable for people. She's just changing her requirements for health reasons. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
After I had my second one, I literally was already kind of making plans. So I knew I was gonna give myself a year after having the second baby, because I wanted to lose weight, because I know it's not a fix all, and I had to be in as good a shape as I could be before considering things. But I knew my diastasis wasn't going away. It didn't really go away with the first one, and then with the second one, once you develop that, it's more likely for it to get worse with the second one or any subsequent kids. And so I knew I wanted to fix that. And if I was like, well, if I'm going to fix that, then I'm going to end up with some loose skin too. And so it kind of went through all these things. I would have loved to avoid actually having a full tummy tuck, but I had enough laxity in my lower abdomen that I knew that I had to. And then I thought, well, if I'm going to do this, might as well fix a couple things that maybe didn't bug me that much before, but I'm going to be asleep. Why not? And so that's kind of why I decided, okay, let me do the 360 lipo. And, I'd always liked my arms to be a little tighter. I felt like they were really toned. So I really love, I love a lot of the non-invasive options. So it's like, okay, well, maybe I'll do a little tightening in my thighs and my legs on my arms at the same time.
So when the idea came to have surgery, because like I said, my body after kids, it wasn't much different than my up and down yo-yo weight. So when I started thinking about having surgery, how I found my doctor was actually one of my guy friends. He had like all the work done. Like he had abs done, calves done. He had a BBL, which I didn't even know they did on guys. So I didn't do a lot of research at all, actually. I just went to one consultation, heard the price. It was in my price range. And I was like, boom, let's go. I'm ready. So it didn't hit me that I was having surgery until the morning of having surgery. And I was so hung over from the night before that I did not even realize everything when he's like drawing on me and everything. I'm like, it's time to look like Beyonce. Like that's all I could think. And I remember I was like half awake during my surgery. So right in the middle of my surgery, I remember my doctor saying, did you drink last night? And I said, no. And then another time I don't remember, he told me after, did you drink last night? And, I guess it was that truth serum and that anesthesia or whatever. I told him, and I was bleeding. They had to fix a hernia. Now I got my surgery done in Mexico because I was living in Mexico at that time. So it wasn't like I didn't want to leave the country. I lived in Mexico. So I went to a surgeon in Mexico. But in Mexico, there's standards of who they'll operate on, and not all of them, okay? But some of them, they operated on me. And I think that by the time they realized how it was kind of too late. So they just figured they would do the best that they could. And they did a great job for what they were working with, So I really do commend them on that.
How was recovery like away from your kids and then when you got home?
Recovery, I was not prepared for. I 100% can tell you that even after researching for 4 years, being totally prepared in my sense of the word prepared, I mean like having everything lined up ahead of time. When it came to the recovery, I was absolutely not prepared. From the moment that I came out of surgery, the amount of pain that I was in, to having an emergency and having to be rushed back to CIPLA for a blood transfusion.
Oh my gosh.
Having my family scared because the recovery house called them like, hey, she's fainted. We have to rush her to the ER. And then getting to the ER and just like feeling horrible, praying to God above, like, God, do not let me die in another country, because I had not aligned the things that I know now. Oh, I didn't know I needed death insurance to be over there, that if something happened to me, if I would have lost blood and worse died, the amount of money my family would have had to pay to fly me back, my body.
So wait, do you see what I see? After 4 years of research, she still wasn't ready. She still didn't know that she needed medical insurance or life insurance if she was going to be going overseas. And that maybe if she passed away on the table, that her family would have to fork up 20 grand just to get their body back to the States. This could have been a nightmare. And this was all in recovery after the surgery. This is why you start now. This is why we have Make It Pop. Oh my gosh, we got to get more into this.
Like we're talking thousands of dollars that I did not know. My family did not have. I have an insurance policy. I just wasn't prepared for being in pain and then not being able to speak Spanish. Thank God I'm Colombian. I was able to call home and get my family to translate for me.
Okay, Colombian. Colombiana.
I called my brother. I was like, hey, who can I get on the phone?
Yeah.
I told them that I am sleeping in this bed. I am miserable. By that point, I laid in a bed in the hospital in CIPLA and just started regretting everything. I'm talking about tears flooding, like just boo-hooing that this most amazing moment of my life, when I got this amazing mommy makeover, was turning into a nightmare.
Oh my gosh.
That was just in the first few days. Then having fluid trapped in my back, feeling like my drains were removed too soon, just being away from my family and my kids. I found myself crying because I was gone 2 weeks. I still would stay 2 weeks, but I'm just like, these are mental things that I hadn't even considered before I left.
I definitely wasn't as present as a mom at that time. And because I really knew with what I do, I prepared a lot. My mom came to help me, and I got my husband on board with I saw them, they said hi, I wanted them to know it was okay. And you know, my 4-year-old at the time was walking around telling everybody that mommy's butt hurt. I was like, stop saying that to people. But for me, it was, I had to prepare. I prepared where am I going to sleep? How am I going to get up? My lymphatic massages. I made sure that I had all of that organized beforehand, because otherwise this is how the stress of it was so much more easily tolerated, knowing that I had all that ready and prepared beforehand.
So it was really after surgery, and probably after the meds wore off, that I realized, oh my gosh, this is really real. I just did this. I do not look like Beyonce yet. I don't even know if there's a difference in my shape. It kind of looked like my stomach was flatter and my butt was a little bigger. They couldn't even touch my boobs like I had planned, because they were just 14 hours, you're done, girl. It was the third or fourth day after surgery when it hit me like a ton of bricks. I was like, what did you just do to yourself? You can't walk on your own. You can't go to the bathroom on your own. Your daughter's not here. What is next? That was so real for me, because other than my friend, I had never really talked to anyone about surgery. I even told people that I had talked to before that I was having hernia surgery because I was ashamed, I guess. I wanted them to think that I got it in the gym, whatever I was gonna look like. But then I realized that it was gonna take a long time for me to heal, much longer than 2 or 3 weeks. So then that's when I started being honest about no, I actually had a mommy makeover. So, and I call it a mini one because there could have been more done, but I was definitely not prepared for the emotional roller coaster and for the physical hurdles that I would have to overcome, because I was always so independent, taking care of myself. I went out to eat a lot. That's not recommended when you're healing, because you need to not have certain oils and you need to have certain fats, and it needs to be a really clean diet. And had it not been for my assistant, who really went above and beyond and was no, she needs to make sure that we have her a chef so that she can, have clean meals. We need a nurse there every day. We need a massage therapist, 2-3 times a week. She really went above and beyond to make sure that I got everything that I needed. Recovery was hard. And that's what the Make It Pop channel is about. It really is about the importance of support, the importance of recovery, and breaking it down into the mental health, the nutrition, and then the sustainability. Right now, I am 3 years post-op. In January, I'm going to be going to do my second round and, do a scar revision, because I really don't like my scar at all, do a breast lift and reduction, and do laser lipo. So I'm really excited about that now, because I know what to expect, but also because I'm going to have a support team. I'm going to have the Make It Pop team guide me from start to finish. And I will be documenting that on this channel. So definitely, if you want more information about true recovery, how it works, and to hear real stories about recovery, you do not want to miss this. I really hope that you enjoyed today's segment.
Moral of the story: recovery is hard. It takes a lot of preparation. And I am so sick and tired of everybody downplaying it like it's so easy. Did you just hear these stories? Also different, but real. Even a board certified surgeon who wasn't prepared for recovery as well as she thought she would be. These are things that people need to know. And that is exactly why Make It Pop is here. If you like this information, make sure that you subscribe, make sure that you share. If you know someone that's been thinking about having surgery, you need to share this with them, especially a mommy makeover. They need to know the do's, the don'ts, and obviously that you need travel insurance if you're going outside of the country so that your family can get your body back. Yeah, stuff like that. I am so glad that on our next episode, we're talking about those red flags and those secret red flags that they never freaking tell us. That's going to be fun.